Part 1. A Night of Curiosity and Suspicion. It was a cold and quiet night, the kind where even the faintest footsteps echoed through the air. Shinaza, a struggling yogurt vendor, moved cautiously through the shadows, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. She had made up her mind tonight she would uncover Amma's secret. Amma, the popular yogurt seller, had become the talk of the town. Her yogurt was creamier, tastier, and more satisfying than anyone else's, including China's. Customers abandoned other vendors just to get a bottle of Amma's special yogurt, and her business flourished overnight. This sudden success puzzled Shinaza, who had been in the business for years. How could she have surpassed me so quickly? Shinaza whispered to herself as she sneaked past the fence. Determined to find out, she carefully positioned herself near Amma's kitchen window, making sure to remain hidden while getting a clear view inside. The dim glow of a lantern flickered in the kitchen, casting long shadows across the room. Amma stood in front of the counter, her back slightly turned, carefully preparing her yogurt bottles for the next day's sales. At first, everything seemed normal. There were plastic bottles neatly arranged on the counter, waiting to be filled. Shinaza watched as Amma moved gracefully, her hands working with precision. But then, something unexpected happened, something Shinaza could never have imagined. Amma untied her wrapper, exposing her bare chest. Before Shinaza could process what she was seeing, Amma placed one of the bottles under her breast and began filling it with her own breast milk. Shinaza's eyes widened in pure horror. Her body froze, her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, but she knew she couldn't afford to make a sound. Her mind raced. Was she dreaming? Was this really happening? She clenched her fist over her mouth, trying to hold back the urge to gasp. The scene before her was something out of a nightmare. Amma was mixing her breast milk with yogurt, carefully stirring and bottling the creamy mixture like it was nothing unusual. Shinaza's legs trembled. She had expected to find some rare ingredient or a secret recipe that made Amma's yogurt special, but this was beyond her wildest fears. Her heart pounded so loudly she was afraid Amma would hear it. Without waiting any longer, she turned and sneaked out the way she had come, carefully avoiding making any noise. As soon as she was a safe distance away, she broke into a run, her chest heaving with deep breaths. She couldn't believe what she had just seen. What do I do now? Shinaza whispered to herself as she hurried home. She had uncovered the shocking truth, but now a bigger problem loomed before her. What would she do with this knowledge? Would she expose Amma and risk a scandal that could ruin her? Or should she keep quiet and let Amma continue deceiving the town? One thing was certain, she would never look at yogurt the same way again. Part 2. The Burden of a Terrible Secret. Shinaza barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, the horrifying image of Amma filling yogurt bottles with her own breast milk replayed in her mind. Her stomach churned, and she felt like throwing up. She tossed and turned, struggling to decide what to do. Amma was not just a competitor, she had once been her best friend. They had laughed together, struggled together, and even built their businesses side by side. But now Amma was deceiving the entire town. I should expose her, Shinaza whispered into the darkness. That way, no one will buy from her again, and my business will return to what it was. Yet, deep down, she knew it wouldn't be that simple. Who would believe her? She had no proof. If she accused Amma without evidence, people might think she was just a jealous businesswoman trying to ruin a competitor. No, she needed to be smart. The only way to bring Amma down was with solid evidence. She had to catch her in the act. A dangerous plan. The next morning, Shinaza went about her day selling yogurt, pretending everything was normal. But her mind was racing, already planning her next move. That night, she prepared herself. She fully charged her phone, dressed in dark clothing, and waited for the right moment. When the town finally fell silent, she set out again back to Amma's compound. The journey felt longer than before, her nerves stretched thin. This time, however, she wasn't just spying, she was gathering evidence. She carefully climbed over the fence, making her way to the same window as the night before. Her heart pounded wildly as she peeked inside. There she was, Amma. She was in the kitchen once again, preparing her yogurt for the next day. Shinaza activated her phone camera, making sure it was recording. She held her breath as Amma untied her wrapper, revealing her chest just like before. Then, with a practice motion, she lifted a bottle and began filling it with her breast milk. Shinaza bit her lip to keep from gasping. Her hands trembled as she focused on keeping the camera steady. This was the evidence she needed. After a few minutes, she had enough footage. Satisfied, she silently retreated, moving as quickly and quietly as possible. By the time she reached home, her heart was still pounding. She immediately transferred the videos to her computer and made multiple copies. There was no turning back now. Tomorrow, the entire town would know Amma's secret. Part 3: Betrayal and Confrontation. The next morning, Shinaza's hands trembled with anticipation. She knew what she had to do, but a part of her still hesitated. Would Amma really deserve what was coming? Yes, she told herself. Amma had deceived the entire town. People had unknowingly consumed her breast milk, thinking they were drinking regular yogurt. Shinaza picked up her phone and watched the video again. The evidence was clear: Amma, in her own kitchen, pouring her breast milk into the yogurt bottles. This was her weapon. But before exposing Amma, Shinaza decided to give her one last chance. A final plea. Later that afternoon, Shinaza made her way to Amma's house. Amma welcomed her warmly, smiling as if nothing was wrong. They sat together in the living room, just like old times. But Shinaza wasn't here for friendly conversation. Taking a deep breath, she looked Amma in the eye. Amma, she began, choosing her words carefully. You and I have been friends for a long time. I've always supported you, but I know your secret. Amma's smile faltered slightly, but she quickly covered it up with a laugh. What secret? She asked, pretending to be confused. Shinaza reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. She opened the video and pressed play. Amma's face turned pale as she watched herself on the screen, pouring her own breast milk into the yogurt bottles. She gasped and covered her mouth. Shinaza watched her closely. Would she beg for forgiveness? Would she admit her mistake? Instead, Amma's expression hardened. She snatched the phone from Shinaza's hands and threw it across the room. HOWDARE, YOU. She screamed. You have no right to spy on me. Shinaza, shocked by her reaction, stood up. Amma, you lied to everyone. You fed them something they never agreed to consume. Do you even feel guilty? Amma's eyes flashed with anger. I did what I had to do to survive. And look at me now. I am successful, I am rich, and my children are well fed. What's so wrong about that? Shinaza felt her stomach turn. It's wrong because you tricked people, she said firmly. And now the whole town will know. Amma's expression suddenly changed. She clasped her hands together. Please, Shinaza, she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. Don't do this. I will share my success with you. I'll give you money. I'll even teach you everything. Just don't expose me. For a moment, Shinaza hesitated. A part of her wanted to forgive Amma. But then she remembered the betrayal. She remembered how Amma had refused to help her when she asked for the secret. She remembered how her own business had suffered while Amma thrived on lies. It's too late, she said coldly. Goodbye, Amma. She turned and walked away, leaving Amma trembling with fear. Part 4: The Scandal Unfolds. Shinaza walked away from Amma's house with her heart pounding. She could still hear Amma's desperate pleas echoing in her mind. But she had made her decision. Amma had to be exposed. That evening, Shinaza took action. She sent the video evidence to multiple news stations, online blogs, and social media pages. She also shared the footage with people in the town. Within hours, the story spread like wildfire. Public outrage. The next morning, Amma drove to her shop as usual, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. She noticed something strange. People were staring at her. Some whispered to each other. Others pointed at her with disgust. She smiled nervously and assumed they were just admiring her success. But when she reached her shop, her heart sank. A huge crowd had gathered in front of the store. Their faces were filled with anger. The moment Amma stepped out of her car, chaos erupted. "You lied to us." Someone shouted. "You made us drink your breast milk without our knowledge." Another woman screamed. Amma barely had time to react before eggs, tomatoes, and bottles came flying at her. She covered her face and tried to run, but the mob was relentless. Her shop was vandalized. People tore down the banners, smashed her yogurt containers, and even burned her advertisements. Her business was collapsing right before her eyes. A mother's worst nightmare. Shaken and humiliated, Amma rushed home in tears. When she arrived, she found her children standing outside the gate, crying. Her heart clenched. She ran to them and held them tightly. "What happened?" she asked, panicked. Her eldest son wiped his tears. "Everyone at school called us ritualists and said you are a wicked woman." Amma felt her world shatter. Her children were innocent, yet they were suffering because of her actions. She had brought shame upon them. "Mama, what did you do?" Her youngest daughter sobbed. Amma couldn't answer. She had no excuse, no justification. For the first time, she truly felt the weight of her actions. She had lost everything. But her nightmare wasn't over yet. The arrest. Just as Amma was trying to calm her children, a police van pulled up outside her house. 4 officers stepped out. Their faces were stern. One of them approached her. "Mrs. Amma, you are under arrest for endangering public health and deceiving consumers." Amma collapsed to her knees. "No, please, no," she sobbed. But there was nothing she could do. The officers handcuffed her while her children screamed and begged them not to take their mother away. Amma looked at them one last time before being shoved into the police van. As the vehicle drove away, she stared out the window, watching her beautiful home fade into the distance. Her success had turned into a curse, and Shinaza's revenge was complete. Part 5: Regret and Redemption. Amma sat in the cold, dark prison cell, her mind replaying the past like a cruel, never-ending movie. Everything had happened so fast. Just days ago, she was a successful businesswoman, adored by her customers and admired by the town. Now, she was nothing. Her children were alone in an orphanage because she had no relatives to care for them. Her business was destroyed, and she was facing 6 years in prison for endangering public health. Amma buried her face in her hands and sobbed. She had only wanted a better life for her children. She had only wanted to survive. But she had chosen the wrong path. And now, she had lost everything. Chinaza's reflection. Meanwhile, Chinaza stood outside Amma's former shop, watching as workers removed the last signs of Amma's yogurt business. She should have felt satisfied. But instead, she felt empty. Yes, Amma had betrayed her. Yes, Amma had lied to everyone. But deep down, Chinaza still remembered the friend she once had. She sighed, her heart heavy. She had done what was right, but it still hurt. Amma's realization. Months passed. Amma adjusted to prison life, though every day was a reminder of her downfall. She often lay awake at night, whispering to herself, "If only I had been patient. If only I had built my business honestly." But regrets couldn't change the past. One day, a prison officer approached her. "Amma, you have a visitor." She was confused. She had no one left. But when she stepped into the visitor's room, her eyes filled with tears. Her children were there. They looked different, thinner, sadder, but they were still her babies. She ran to them and hugged them tightly. Her son whispered, "Mama, we miss you." Amma wept. That moment, she made a promise to herself. She would change. When she got out, she would start over. She would earn an honest living and regain her children's trust. The final lesson. 6 years later, Amma was released from prison. She had lost everything: her business, her reputation, her pride. But she still had one thing left: hope. She moved to a new town, taking small jobs to survive. She never returned to selling yogurt. Instead, She started a small bakery where she made everything openly, honestly, and with real ingredients. It took time, but slowly, people began to trust her again. Her children, now older, stood by her side. She had learned the hard way that greed leads to destruction. But now, she was ready to build something real. And this time, she would do it the right way.